Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash
and Becky, the guest edition.
Ooh. Today we have on the show Veronica. Now, this is such a great. We say it every time. This is such a great episode because it is. But this one really felt like our regular Be Your Best You episode with just an extra person joining us for a coffee chat. Veronica shares with us her story of basically how she overcame trauma, abuse, and stepped out of victimhood and into owning it. Like, I'm in control. Yeah. I choose to have an amazing life and I choose to forgive and move on and spend every day creating a life that I love. And honestly, like, we just said, didn't we, that Veronica is kind of like the living example of everything that we talk about in the podcast. How you can, choose how you feel, how to manifest, how to work through your traumas, what you have to do to get through your traumas, and how on the other side you can go from someone who doesn't recognize who they are, like, depressed, anxious, to living a life every day where you're just thriving and excited to be alive and to create a life, just knowing that you can create a life of whatever you want.
So inspirational. I thought I loved listening to Veronica, so hopefully you guys will enjoy,
guys. Today we have on the show Veronica. Welcome, so lovely to have you here.
Oh, thank you, ladies. So good to be here. I can't wait that I finally made it and I can see you on the screen as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. So excited to chat to you. Yeah. So before we dive in and get started with all the good bits of the gold nuggets we're going to have from this episode, I can feel it. Veronica, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about, who you are and where you started from? Because I think I want to preface this episode first with, Veronica's kind of been on a journey. I know Veronica doesn't mind me saying, but I know Veronica because I've done a past life regression for Veronica. So I've kind of like been there. And I just think the reason we wanted to get Veronica on the show is because her life, and the journey she's been through is just a perfect example of what we speak about all the time on the podcast, stepping out of victim mentality and working on past traumas and, really changing from feeling like life's happening to you and it's tough and it's hard, and then getting out on the other side and just being like, life gets to be awesome. Wow. I love life. Yeah. So yes, with that being said, Veronica, tell us a little bit about your journey and yourself.
Thank you. I would definitely try to do long story short, but it will be definitely long story long. Anyways, as you can tell that I am not native to UK. I came from Slovakia, so basically I was born in a lovely village, in a lovely surrounding. I love to be in nature and all that comes with it. I always knew that, I'm that little girl that is always going to be different. I never kind of fitted anywhere, never had one group of friends that I was with. I always had multiple of best friends, and I was like here and there and nowhere in the same time, and I always felt like not fitting to the places, and I never knew where is it coming from, why is it coming up for me. And when I was 18 years old, and when we all supposed to know what we're going to do for a living, know where we want to go, we're going to study, we're going to go get this amazing job, I was like, what is everyone talking about? I do not know what I want to do. I do not know where I want to be. I just know I don't want to be where I am at the moment. And when I was 18 years old, I decided to move out from my parents' house. So prior to that, I met someone, fell in love, and I am a huge lover girl. Like, if I love someone, and it doesn't really matter if it's a romantic relationship, if it's friends, if it's the passions that I have, I will always be 100% in, maybe 120, because I literally love what I do. And I was just like, right, I'm 18 years old. This man is not from my country. He's coming from somewhere else. I'm going to go with him. So I decided, packed my bags, and just moved away from everything that I knew, and hopped in somewhere where I'd never been before, didn't know what was going on. And it was very exciting. And I basically started a new journey and started exploring everything. And that's when I realized, like, oh, this is what the life is. The life doesn't mean to be, this is what you thought it is, and it's going to be like that forever. But also, I've been really young, so I think I was really, really naive, and like did everything that everyone wanted from me, and landed in UK, started a new life, and became a mum at the age of 23, and with like no support network or anything, ended up in really toxic relationship, which was horrible, because back in 2017, 2018, no one been talking about these things. There was no such thing as TikTok, where everybody talks about the narcissist and, oh, this is a red flag. I do not think that such a thing as a red flag even existed back then. And I found myself in a really, really bad place. And I'm not talking only mentally, because I always been that strong, independent woman that is going to do it. And, whatever been like thrown at me, I always fought through it. But also, my body started giving up. And genuinely, at some point, I really thought I'm going to die, because no one knew what was wrong with me. Like, all my bones and joints been aching. My hair was like falling out in clumps, like my eyes being swollen. And no one knew. No one knew. Everyone be like, you're fine. Maybe you're just a bit stressed. Maybe you're just a bit stressed. And, maybe something in your head that you need to get through. And turns out it has been stress. It has been the toxic environment that I've been in. And as soon as I left it, everything improved. And I think that was the biggest awakening for me. And if we can call it that way, because, some people can kind of come into their senses like really slowly and peacefully, and some of us, I think, just need that like massive shake where we're like, okay, you're either gonna die or you're gonna survive, so which one do you pick? And from there, I think it's been always a journey of learning, because that may be a bit unpopular opinion, but I do believe that before we landed here in this meat suit, in this planet, we did pick what we want to learn and how we want to learn it and who is going to be there with us. And one of the biggest lessons for me is that I do not really hate on people that caused the trauma that I've had, because I know that first, I picked it, and second, it always takes two. And none of us is perfect. And even though I've been in that victim mentality where it was like, why have you done this to me? And like, you will never say sorry, but I will like never forget. I think that if I really wanted to, I could have left years before anything traumatic happened. And, from that time when I got through another traumatic experience, now with the two kids in a mix as well, where I literally nearly lost my life, I kind of picked up so quickly and being like, okay, this is just another one. It's horrible. It's awful. But it gave me something that I was missing. And if I thought I knew it all, because I think that's what we know. We always know. Like, I know you're not going to tell me what I have to do. I believe that we know nothing. Like, we literally know nothing, no matter how much you learn, no matter how unis you have completed, no matter how many books you've learned, we know nothing. And at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to be learning. Like whatever is thrown at me, I'm just gonna keep learning and keep going through it. And I think that is when if I felt ever before that I do not belong, at that point, I did not belong at all. I lost 99% of my friends. The family wise, I always had that my support group, but I think at that point, people looked at me like I was nuts. Like, how is possible that you've been through all these things? How it's possible like this and that happened, and you are still here, standing and smiling? And I've been labeled and like shamed for dancing on the internet. And I'm like, you pick your battles. I decided that I'm gonna go through this with a smile on my lips, no matter how much it hurts. I will show you that I do cry, because I do cry, and I think it's more healing than anything to go through your emotions. Do not really suppress anything that you're feeling, and just know that you're gonna get on the other side, and it's gonna be so amazing, because it really, really is. And yeah, now I think that manifesting, what I thought before, and you spoke about it as well, is, not just sitting down and closing your eyes and be like, okay, I got this. And, there's so much money on my bank account and I live in my amazing house. But I think it's all that years that I really been deep into my shadows and deep into, this is what I know it is, and this is who I know I am now. And I know wherever I want to go, I'm gonna get there, because I went through so much. I'm gonna get there at the end. And it doesn't really matter, even though I'm not really patient person and I am neurodivergent and I want things right now. I just need to take a couple of breaths in and just breathe out, and I know I'm gonna get there. It doesn't really matter how long it's gonna take, and we are not behind. We're just on our own journey. So that is me in a nutshell, really.
Wow, what a story. And I think you're, God, how brave.
Oh, I know.
To come to a foreign land at that age to start with. Gosh. But like, I feel like you two really mirror each other, don't you? Like, you two are so similar.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about how it's like that knowing with the manifesting, you just know that it's going to happen, so you can let all that other stuff go.
Exactly.
And try and be patient.
Trying.
So I have a question then, because obviously, like you said, like everything Veronica's saying, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I hear with so many people that I work with that come to me, especially for the past life kind of stuff on the more spiritual side of things, the one thing that I hear all the time from them is that I've just never fit in. I've never felt like I fit in, and it's just such a common theme. And I always know when someone tells me that, I'm like, we've got a spiritual.
As soon as you said that, definitely.
And then when we do the past life regressions, it's really obvious why you feel like you don't fit in, because you've not come from here. You're not used to this kind of vibration, this frequency of the earth, the suffering, the toughness, and you've also come. I was saying this to my client the other day, actually. It's like you're if you can call it this, an older soul. You've experienced more in your lifetimes. You've experienced lots of different lifetimes where you were the bad guy. Like, you've done all of the stuff. And it's almost like you've got to a point now where, because you've seen and done and experienced everything, you can come into this lifetime with the kind of, views that you have, where you're like, well, I don't blame people for what they've done to me. I understand that I chose this, and it takes two to tango and all of that, but it doesn't make it any easier when you're on this planet trying to live a human life, because you are still a human, I think. It's tough. It's really tough. But my question to you that I wanted to ask you was, you said early on that you believe that you've picked this life, and that you chose these things. And this is where we get to a real sticking point with some people, isn't it? Because people are like, why would I choose to be this, that, and this? Why would I choose to be sexually assaulted or raped or have my child die? God, heaven forbid. It's just all horrible, but they can't get their heads around why you would choose it. And I think that when you struggle with that, if you can't it really helps, let's just say, to step out of that victim mentality when you can accept that you did choose it. So did you always have this belief that you know, in reincarnation, and that you chose this life, or was that something that you got to?
I think I had to get to it because, you know, as we grow, not only as a human beings, where we're like, oh, we get more wise on a human level, I think we need to get there with a consciousness. And for some, it comes really easy. But I think if you are approached with a trauma and there's a constant abuse and abuse and abuse and abuse and abuse, you do not really have a time to process the whole thing. And I think I've been stuck there for so many years, but I can't even like tell you for how long I thought, why these people are doing this to me. And as you said, if it comes to like, you know, sexual abuse, and then it's aftermath of the abuse, which carries on and you can't really stop it, because I thought police is going to sort this out for me. They won't. Or maybe that person is going to sort it out for me. They won't. You have to be the one. And that's what I thought, is to take your power back. No matter what happens to you in life, you have to first take your power back and be like, okay, I am the one. I am the one who is going to end this because I can. And I'm not saying to go out and, you know, end the lives or anything like that, but it's end it for you. So those people doesn't get more access to your energy. And that's, I think, is the biggest one, because when you cut those cords and when you cut all that has been done to you, to like, it's been done for me for whatever reason, and you're going to find out why. I think that's the most powerful thing to do. And I think coming to you, Tash, and hands down, one of the greatest spiritual things that I've ever done was coming to you and go to the past life regression, because I don't know if you remember, but it was a big one. And I've realized then that this is not the first time that I am with these people. This is not, excuse my dog, not the first time that those people done me wrong, quote unquote. And I've been in that life knowing that I need to end this myself, not them, myself. And I was like, why did I do it first time? Why I cannot do it now? And I think that was the stepping point for me, where I was like, okay, we're doing this. We are. And it took a long time. Yes, it does take a while, but I believe that if you want it, again, patience, and you're going to get there.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. And it's funny, Veronica, because everyone that knows me knows that when I do the past life regression sessions, my memory gets wiped. I don't remember anything. I don't remember what people say to me kind of about their lives, and I typically after a while don't remember the past life regressions either, but I do remember yours. Yours is one that really stood out to me. And yeah, in fact, I think for one reason as well, you terrified me, because you were the first time I actually saw like the pain you were like experiencing, weren't you? And you taught me some skills for myself there to kind of like pull you out so that you didn't have to experience that. But it was tangible. I felt like I was there with you, and the fear of, I mean, we won't go into it, but effectively you were being persecuted and you were killed for being a healer, or being, you know, knowing things that you shouldn't know, for being a woman. My standard MO for people that come in and see me in past life regressions. But like you said, you took that experience and you, again, it's a choice, because those experiences are transformational, but you have to go out there and do something with them as well. You chose in that moment to be like, that's it, I am not doing this anymore. I am breaking the ties of that life, and probably hundreds of others you've had as well with that same kind of theme. And you did it. And yes, like you said, it's not easy, is it? I know we spoke, you know, throughout times, didn't we? And you would say what was going on, but what you were also doing. And I was watching you on Instagram, and you were putting yourself out there more, and you were being who you truly, like, you know, meant to be. And it's all takes effort, and it's not easy, and you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You cannot expect life to just turn around for you. And I think you're just like a perfect example of like, you put in the work and you get the benefits.
Yeah, and you mentioned, Veronica, that some people didn't really like it with your, you know, the positive attitude that you were showing them. I wonder why, people would react in that way.
I do believe that I was put here to trigger so many people, and I will trigger as many people as I can. And on one hand, it's a horrible thing to say, because when you think of triggers, you're like, oh, you're just like trying to put someone in the position that they don't really feel comfortable in. But I do believe that there's no growth in being comfortable. And I know I had to be pushed really, really hard just to grow. And I think that anyone who still decides to be my friend or interact with me at any level is aware of that. I'm not going to be there and be like, oh, you okay? It's fine. It's okay. No, I am there to just push them to their limits, and you either like it or not. So I think that, people always mirror and project onto you. If it's something that they tell you, oh, you shouldn't be like this, you shouldn't do those things, it's actually the things that they don't like about themselves, and they're like, I would like to be more like her, and I would like to express myself more. And that's why I keep telling myself every time, because may I be right all the time? I may not, but also it does make me feel good. It makes me feel good to go out and smile on strangers, give them a compliment, go on the internet and say, hey, this is what happened to me today, and I decided to be happy no matter what. And it does empower so many people, that those that doesn't like me and will go on the internet and say whatever they want is never gonna be at the same level as, all the love and light and positivity that I get from people on the other side, which are looking forward to see me. And I used to do like, Saturday vibe checks, and I just put the music on Saturday and just dance for 15 seconds, put a little quote at the bottom of the video, something positive, something to let people know that no matter what you're doing in life right now, and no matter how you're feeling, you can just flip it over and you can be yourself, you can be happy, and it's all good.
Yeah, I love that. And I also think it's really important, like you've brought up a really important point, because I think that, what so many people are scared of is a fear of judgment, right? We're all terrified to some degree of people judging us, and that's why we change our behavior and we people please, we do all the things, right? But we all want to be authentic. That's what we all want to do. It's just we have all these limiting beliefs that stop us from being like that. But I think that when you start becoming like your true authentic self, when you start doing the healing work and you start releasing all these beliefs, and you just think, do you know what, I don't care, I'm going to be who I am because it feels good to me, you have to accept that you are going to then trigger people. And this is where you really find out who you've got around you, the circle of people you've got around you, whether you are supposed to be staying with them or whether you're not. And actually oftentimes it's taken out of your hands, isn't it, because you just can't resonate. And this is the thing, isn't it, like when you have people around you, they are gonna love your true authentic self. They're going to push you, like they're going to lift you up even higher. And then alternatively, you're going to have those people, just like you said, that you trigger them because you're triggering in that they want what you've got. They want to be authentic, because we all want that. So if they're stuck in that victim mentality, they're not going to be able to look at you and think, oh my God, that's amazing. She just makes me want to be my true authentic self. They're going to have that feeling of being triggered, and they're going to lash out at you because it's what they want. But I think it's really interesting when you understand that, because again, like you said, you have compassion for people. You don't blame people for what they've done to you or how they're reacting to you. And it's with this understanding, I think, that can help you have that compassion, because you can detach from it and you know that it's not personal. You know that it's not about you. You understand that it's about them, and that's okay. We know that we've had to go through a lot of our own stuff to get to where we are, and they have to too. And we're all on our different journeys. It all takes different time, and you can't force people out of it. You can only choose to like stay around the people that you want to stay with, that like make you feel good, and let those other people that you're triggering, let them be on their journey. You don't have to fix them, because that's a whole nother thing, isn't it? Like for people like us, people that are listening to the podcast, God, we are fixers. We want to help people, don't we? We're like, we can help you. And I think the most important thing we can do for ourselves is realize that we're not supposed to help anyone like heal them. We're supposed to heal ourselves so that we can reflect that back to them, and they can do it for themselves, because we can all only heal ourselves, can't we? And I think it's just, I just love that. And I think that it's really helpful for people to understand that if you have people around you that you're triggering when you start being your true self, good, you're on the right track. That's really, really good, and keep doing it. Just keep doing it.
No, I love what you said, because on one hand, it's all, we want to be love and light. And that's, I think, if you're spiritual and you are kind of on your path, you will be that love and light to people, and you will go out, and even though they do piss you off sometimes, you will be, okay, that's on you. That is your truth. Just go on your way. I'm going to say myself, just protect yourself, just keep going. But I think sometimes it is really important to stand in your truth and do not be love and light, because so many people will come out after you, and as you said, energy, and especially if we are high vibrational, and I'm not saying it's better, I'm better than you are worse than me, because you are not there where I'm at. Everyone is on their own journey, but there's people who's going to come and suck on your energy, and they're going to suck you dry if you let them. And being healers, as we call ourselves, in a way, it is a gift, but it's cursed sometimes, because you're going to hurt yourself so many times until you find out this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And as you said, we want to rescue everyone and help them and enlighten them. And I still learn that. I been on this journey for 7 years roughly now, and it's not like it's a lifetime, but if you have been aware of these things for 7 years and you keep working on yourself all the time, and then you get to the point where you're like, oh no, it wasn't that, let's go again. It is a bit difficult, and I do think that we need to sometimes politely tell people to fuck off, because that's what it is. But also, in the same time, to be grounded in ourselves enough that we can just go and do it again. I do not want to discourage anyone and be like, oh, this is going to take a long time. But as you probably realize as well, there is that toxic positivity. There is a new age spirituality that is telling us everything is love and light. And no, it is not. And if you feel like that you're just going to be love and light all the time and everything is going to be amazing, you're just bypassing all that you should be learning right now. And going deep into the darkness, but I'm talking darkness, that you feel like your soul just left your body for such a long time, you don't even know how to get it back, and you're just trying to survive. That is where I learned the most.
Me too.
That is where I grown, that I didn't recognize myself. And I'm not even surprised that people didn't recognize me and be like, what the hell happened to you? What you doing? Because I did not recognize myself. But that is the only way that I could survive what I went through.
Yeah. I think that's such an important point there. There's so much that you've brought up there, and we could talk about this all day, but I do think, like, I want to highlight to you, like you said, when you feel like your soul, like that, I've said those exact words, like your soul has just left your body and you just don't know who you are. It's almost like I say that I felt like I was just like a robot, like I was walking around on autopilot, but my soul wasn't there, but my body was just doing its thing. And I look back at that time and I'm like, I don't even recognize her. I feel so sorry for her. I don't recognize her, but at the same time, I'm so grateful for that time in my life, for her, and for her to get out of it as well, because it was deep. And I think that it's really important to stress here that, like you said, that was the time where you learned the most, and that was the time where I learned the most, and it was like the worst time of my life, but I wouldn't change it, because I needed that to get me to who I am now. And again, this is just to re-emphasize the point that it's not all love and light, and actually, if you don't go into the darkness, the parts of you that you just really don't want to face. And this is the thing, if there's something, and I always say this on the podcast, if there's something that's in the back of your mind that you know is an issue, but you don't want to look at it. You're like, no, I'll do this next thing. Oh, I'll work on this next thing. And that's still there. You know, that's the one that you've got to look into. That's the one that you're so scared to look at because it's so deep, it's so dark, and this probably the part that you're ashamed of the most. But that's the part that needs to come to the light. And yes, it's so hard while you're in it. It's horrible, but when you face them and you start working through it, you start seeing it feels lighter, doesn't it? Like, that's the only way I can describe it. You start feeling that lightness, don't you? And you can see that I think that's when you realize that you have so much more control over your life and yourself when you're in that really dark place where you're like completely out of control. And you know, and it was like I described it like this is like every part of me shattered on the floor. Like I broke myself, all the things, like I like held myself that I thought were good about me, like that all came down and everything was laid bare for me to see. And it was only at that point when I looked at myself and my darkest bits that I was then able to start putting myself back together, like accepting all of those darker bits, forgiving them, and then thinking, and now I'm going to use them to learn to move on and create something better, something that's actually truly me. Because you can't do that. You can't be your true authentic self unless you accept the bits of yourself that you don't want to accept, right? Yeah.
No, it is. I do totally agree that I think we always try to go out and look for validation in people. And like, oh, you know, I did this for you. Can you appreciate me? I don't know, I put my makeup on today. Do you like how I look like? And right now, I do know I love a bit of validation, and I love when people give me compliments, and I love when someone says like, oh, you helped me, you did that. But I am not relying on that.
Yes.
And I know when I did my makeup this morning, it was for me. It is for me because I feel good in it. And, you know, sometimes I would go on and be like, yeah, whatever. I do not need a makeup, and I do not need to do my hair, and I do not need to do any of those things. But I know that validating ourselves for what we've been through and what we've been able to do in life is such a good stepping point for where we want to go next. And as you said, sometimes you need to break everything completely so you can rebuild it back. Not in a way that, oh, we're just going to pick up the pieces and put them together, everything is going to be good. No, but you will find that some pieces going to be missing completely because that's not who you are anymore, and you're never meant to be. It's just so silly to know that, you know, if you go in a bit more scientific way, is that we are, as a human beings, most vulnerable between age of 0 and 7, I believe.
Yep.
When all those beliefs are coming in and we are just like, oh yeah, they said that I am strong and I am outgoing and all that. And I found after nearly 30 years that maybe, just maybe, I'm not extrovert. Maybe I am an introvert. But just because I was made believe that you love to go out and perform and you love other people, then explain, why do I not go out, you know, in town and can't spend more than 1 hour without a headache? Why is that? Why, even though I shield myself, I can't spend a time with people because I just see all the trauma and I just see all the anger and everything, and it's draining. But sometimes I think we just need to get to the point where we are like, okay, this is not me, who I really am. And back to the point, you know, we always felt like we are not from here. Maybe we are different. Is maybe we are really different because we also see that we are not like everyone else who just walks on the planet and do not really pay attention to anything. And I think, again, it is a gift and a curse that we do feel deeply. And as I said, I'm a lover girl. I'm going to love you to the death. And even those that, you know, I think one of my superpowers is also just do not give a shit right now. Just do not give a shit about anything. If once I decide that this is not affecting me anymore, it's not. And I can go about my day and still, you know, be that loving person to you, even though you hurt me. Because that is not about me. It's not what you decided to do is not the mirror of myself, it's mirror of you. And you can't really, the only person that you can really control is yourself. You can control yourself, your emotions, your actions. Anything outside of you is basically not your responsibility. And that's what I think gave me so much happiness in my life, knowing that if I go out and I am a decent human being, because that's why we came here, to be human beings, even though it's difficult, I am good. I really, truly am happy in myself. And whatever you decide to do or say, or, you know, it's even about the kids. I think you spoke about it, about your own children. Sometimes we think like, oh, they need to be like this and they need to be like that because it makes us happy. No, it's not. It's not. I always thought I need to be parent that I needed as a child.
Mm.
And I think, yes, maybe for my own healing, that's what I needed to be for myself, to know that if something like that would happen to my kids, I would be the person that would help them. But now I know they need me to be the parent that they need, which is so much more difficult.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And I don't know where I went with this. I don't know, even remember what the question was. But yeah, here we are.
I really like that, because obviously we do talk about it with the kids, especially your children, a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
And I think, again, it's just really to bring up those kids. I think it's good to come back to the thought of what you said in the beginning, which is we came here and we chose this life. We chose these things. Your children chose their lives. Your children chose you as their parents. They chose to come into these circumstances, these situations, because they wanted to learn the lessons they wanted to learn. So I think that, again, this kind of work in this world, and when you start having, realizing, or I don't know, it's really hard, because it's like accepting these beliefs. For me, it's not a belief. For me, I just feel like this is the truth. Like, I know that this is the truth, but I appreciate that that's not the truth for other people. But I just think that when you can kind of resonate with this as even a possibility, it just makes everything a lot easier, and it can really make parenting a lot easier, can't it? Like, I mean, I don't know for you,
just everything Veronica just said. I love what you said. You think you need to be the parent that you needed.
Yeah.
And that's where we get it twisted, don't we? And it's that was such a big lesson for me, was realizing that they are their own people, and they don't have to be anything like me. And yet I was just looking at them like little versions of myself. And when I could let go of that, and like you said about, you're not responsible and you can't control other people, because they're this extension of you, aren't they? It's so hard to separate. But once you do, everything does get easier and get better once you learn that lesson. I think that's such a...
We're all a bit narcissistic when it comes to our kids, aren't we? Because they're like, they're and it's not in that kind of way. And I know we chuck around this word narcissistic, but it is. It's like, they're us. And, don't behave like that, because that makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, I feel awkward. I don't want people to judge me, so don't do that.
Exactly.
And it's like when you can detach from your kids and, like you said, cut the cords, even from your children, because you did it, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then life just becomes easier, because you're like, well, that's them. This isn't me.
And they're happy.
I think you're a better parent because of it, because like you then said, Veronica, you're giving them what they need, not what... Because what you were effectively doing was seeing little Becky there with your kids, weren't you? And like, little Becky feels that way, I'm going to give this to her.
That's
but
right.
That wasn't the case. That's Harry, and that's Nicole. Yeah. And that's when you see them as their own people, you can then detach your own feelings and give them what you need.
That's huge, isn't it?
So I think that's
and
really
then I took that forward to other people in my life, but I learnt it from them. That's how it came to me, through the children. But then I could take it through to my husband and my parents and my brothers, that, well, I'm not responsible for how they see this situation or whatever. And it's being able to detach, isn't it? And when you've been an empath and you've grown up in this way, feeling everybody's feelings, you don't even know who you are anymore, do you? Because you're just everybody else's fears and emotions. So when you learn that, wow, that's like, it's so important, isn't it? I feel just grateful that I learnt that lesson, because obviously you see people walking around, don't you? And sometimes they'll never see that. They'll never learn it. But hopefully, you know, listening to more things like this and different people's perspective, they're gonna, maybe the light bulb will go on, you know.
And it's everyone's journey. It's all in the right time, isn't it? And it might not be this lifetime, but listen, we're infinite. We've got loads of lifetimes. There is no rush. And I tell myself that all the time. I'm like, you know, I have a goal of where I want to be. I know how I want to feel on a daily basis. I know what I'm kind of after. But I also know that if I don't reach it in this lifetime, that's all right. There's next time. And the lifetime after that, it doesn't matter. And God, we don't realise how much pressure we put on ourselves for time, do we? It's like time's a huge pressure, isn't it?
I do always, like always now, I used to be that kind of human being that doesn't want to be here anymore. I'm just going to learn all these lessons, and I do not need to come here because humans are horrible, humans are awful, they are hurting the nature, they are hurting the animals, they are just destroying each other, they are destroying themselves. Why is it? But now I'm at the same point where you are. It's, you know, at the end of the day, we came here because we chose to. I can say my human self, I'm not going to come here anymore. Just wait until we get up there or wherever we're going to go after the life is over, and see for yourself what you're going to do. Because I can guarantee you, if you are not done here yet, you're going to come back again. And what you said about the kids, Becky, I do totally agree that kids are our biggest teachers, at least mine. I will be never, ever ashamed of being mum of two with two different baby daddies that I do not longer have a relationship with. It's two different stories, completely different stories, but just knowing, again, that those children chose me and their dad and whoever else is in their life for a reason is on another level. And it takes so much pressure, not only of me, but of them as well. Because I felt like, when I, going back, maybe 8 years back, where I ended my first relationship, I heard from someone that was really, really close to me, still is, I still love them dearly, that you destroyed your son's life by leaving his dad. And that was something that got me so badly, not for long. But for a little bit, that I thought, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe I should be abused for the rest of my life and be unhappy for sake of my child. But then, as I realized, no, he picked that for himself. And I know it's painful, and I know it's not always easy, and I know it would be so much better if you got two parents that are loving each other and live together. It's not our case. But I know it helped him so much more to understand the things that I see maybe his classmates or his friends doesn't understand yet. But he comes back to me and he's like, Mom, this is what it is. And I think it is important as well to let them explore, let them do their thing. As you said, the kids are kind of our mirror in the same time, when they are like, oh, maybe we should let them do this, and maybe we should not let them do this. But I know that, you know, again, as humans, they need to explore, they need to hurt themselves, they need to do all those things. We are learning with them in the same time. But also, small children are much more connected to the unseen world, as you call it, guys. If you let them to do their own thing, you would be mind blown. What I've heard from my son when he was at age of 6, maybe, it's incredible. Like, that's totally different story. So yeah, if I can give one advice to every single parent in the world right now, it's just let your kids be whoever they want, because we can try our best and think that they're going to be amazing, successful human beings. First off, success means totally different to totally different people. Like, it's very individual thing. And more that we try to make them to who we want them to be, fit them in that mold, they will just break through one day, and they will be their own human beings. And it just depends how much you're going to push them, is how much healing they will have to do. And as you said, we are a little bit narcissistic, and I believe every single human being is a bit narcissistic if we look at it. I know the word has been thrown, you know, right, left and center, but in the same time, you are toxic to someone else, 100%. There's not such a human being that is not toxic to other people, because we are. And that is beautiful thing of being in a different levels and vibrations and all that, and we just kind of, you know, intertwine with each other, and we just flow for a little bit together, and then we just decide to part the ways. And I think that's what it should be. The life is not linear. Life is just flowing all different directions, and we just decide where we want to go and what we want to do with it.
Yeah, I do. I love that, and I love that. You know, like you said, you know, we're all us. We're toxic to someone. I think that is such a good thing to hold in mind, because what I always say, and I always reference Eminem's film 8 Mile. This the wise words of Eminem, but I think it's so true, and I hold on to this a lot. I don't think it's a surprise. I don't know, Veronica, have you seen it? Have you seen that film?
I did, but that was a long time ago.
So for people who haven't seen it, let me explain. So at the end, so he's basically ashamed because he's trailer trash, and everybody takes the mick out of him because he's poor and he lives with his mom and blah, 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 blah. And at the very last scene in this rap battle, he realizes that I'm just going to say to everybody all the stuff that they could say about me. I'm going to own it and I'm going to admit it. And he did this whole rap about it, and then they couldn't come back to him. They were just
amazing.
and I just think that it's like, that's like what you said. If we can own that we have our shadow parts, we are going to be toxic to some people. It's in that surrender, in that owning of like, I'm not perfect and I'm never going to be perfect to everyone, that you can then do what we have been talking about this whole episode. Let go of trying to control the external circumstances and everybody else around you. Stop trying to please people and mold yourself and fit a certain way because of your fear of judgment and your beliefs, and just know that the only thing you can control is yourself, that you are not perfect and you are going to upset some people. You get to be yourself, because you know then that the only thing you can do is be yourself, and that the people that you are supposed to be with, and there's a people that you are going to resonate with at this time, are going to like you and be magnetized towards you, and the people that aren't on your vibration or on your frequency are going to be repelled by you. And that's great, and that's how you move through, like you said, that's how you spiral through life. And as you grow and learn, you might then change your vibration, and the people that you once resonated with will drop away, but new people will come in, and then that is how life is supposed to change, isn't it? We are, as humans, are terrified of change, and we want everything to stay the same. But actually, again, embrace the fact that things are always changing. The one thing that you know is that change is going to happen. And then when you embrace that, and you at every moment are being true to yourself, whatever that means, and that might be that someone else thinks that being true to yourself and the things that you are doing to be true to yourself make you a horrible person, and they, you know, you don't agree with them, and you may be toxic to those people by doing it as well. But that's okay, because you can only do you and what feels right to you. Obviously, you know, we have to run it through our systems, and you know, we all know when we're doing something that doesn't feel right to us and that feels off to us. That's your guidance system, and it's different for everyone, isn't it? But as long as you're staying true to that and being your true self, know that you will always be all right, and you will always attract the things that are right for you and meant for you, and the people and the opportunities. And as you grow, that will continue to grow and change with you. And then that's how you start living a more happier life.
Love listening to you ladies. I'm loving it. It's magic, isn't it? It's so true, though.
So I have a question then, before we kind of end. With all of this being said, and, you know, everything we've spoken about of how, you know, you see the world and how you've kind of got yourself through the trauma and, you know, worked through your healing kind of journey, what is it that you do on a daily basis, or what are the things that you do to help keep you in this happy, positive state that other people might be able to do as well?
I do believe that these things changes all the time. And, you know, where I've started maybe 7 years ago, where I was like drastically into, you know, self-development books, I haven't touched a book in such a long time. And, you know, I do different things. I would listen to the podcast every single day. And whether it's podcasts like yours, whether there is different sort of things that I believe that we need to be learning. As a human beings, also souls and spirits that always want to rise, we just need to be learning every single day. Find something that you like. Doesn't need to be anything spiritual. If it's spiritual, even better. So I think that is one of the things that I religiously do right now, is to listen something, because I believe that our subconscious is more powerful than anything. You can, do something consciously and it's amazing, but if you are feeding your mind with something positive, something that is going to help you grow, that's like a baseline, really. Then what else I do is I do not meditate on the level that I used to, where I just, sit down or lay flat before I went to sleep, and that sort of meditation. Now I got to the point where I can meditate while walking in the nature, and that is my favorite, because I can really ground and get to myself, put all the devices away. I know it's really difficult to walk without your AirPods and without the music and without any distraction, because that's what we're so used to right now, to be distracted by so many things. But just try to sit in, maybe not in a complete silence, but sit with yourself or walk through the woods with yourself, because it is so good for the soul. It is. And I know that I struggled for years to be on my own, to not, talk to people and speak to people and be with the people physically. But I think once you learn how to be with yourself, you do not want to go back. You don't. So that is really important for me, is to have my own time with myself, being able to be quiet and just listen. And I know it may sound a bit woo-woo, but so many things is going to come to you in those moments, because when we are so busy and distracted and we are like, oh, what do I do next? What the career path do I choose? Where do I go for holiday? What do I meant to do with this thing that I cannot get myself sorted? Once you get quiet, it's going to start coming, and it comes so quickly. So that would be one of those. As I said, go into your shadows, open the closet really, really wide, and see what is on the bottom. It may be horrible, it may be stinky, it may be so dark, but that's the important lessons. As you said, Tash, we try to avoid it, but it's always going to creep, and it's not going to creep forever, because you can do it. You totally can. And as you said, if I could have done it, that little girl that was people pleaser and didn't really know the language before she moved to the country, that she do not know anyone, I did it. And I'm not perfect, but I know that I'm going to keep working on myself every single day. And I always say that, and people are sick of it, but I keep saying that consistency is a key. And I know we sometimes do not have a power to do things, and sometimes maybe do not want to do things because we just want to lay down in bed and rot. You need to do it every day. And I used to be into the crystals and into astrology and all that, and there's so many tools that you can go out now and search for them, and I believe that everyone is going to find something for themselves. I am obsessed with the human design. Yes. That's a thing. Ever heard of Gene Keys? That's another one, and if you haven't, go and Google it, because it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind, because people are just like, this is, astrology girls and all that, and crystals, and just go and have a look. Go and have a look for yourself, because you're going to learn so much about yourselves. I think being happy with who you are and knowing that you're exactly where you're meant to be right now, I think that's the biggest spiritual practice that I can think of. It's just being, because that's what we meant to be, a bee. And sometimes that's as simple as that is enough.
Yeah. Thank you, Veronica. Deb, I just think that's such great practices, because I think sometimes we can try and overcomplicate these things, especially as deeper you get into the spiritual path, and you hear people saying, with all intentions, you know, and it does work, but you know, there's a ritual for this, and if you want to meditate, you have to do this under the full moon, and and yes, you can do all of that, and yes, it's great if it works for you, but it also, like you said, just simply being going for a walk, not having the distractions, being with yourself. And I totally 110% back up the fact that as soon as you be quiet for just a second, you will be amazed at how quickly things start streaming into you, and how that one problem that you've been trying to mentally work out for weeks, sometimes months, all of a sudden will just pop in and you'll go, oh yeah, of course. And there's your solution. And honestly, all we have to do is just be quiet for a minute, take out the podcast, stop listening to our podcast for 5 minutes. I'm literally saying stop listening to our podcast and just be quiet, because, you know, I'm the worst at that. I agree with you. I am about knowledge, like every day, not like what can I learn? And really, I just think as well, the best knowledge you can gain is by living your everyday life, just living it, enjoying it, being in the present moment. And then when things come up, ask yourself the first question: what is this trying to teach me? Use your life to be your biggest teacher, and you can turn anything into a lesson that will get you to the next level up. And with that next level comes a new level of consciousness, a new level of understanding, new love, like ability to receive love, give love. You know, it's just, yeah, your life is just one big long lesson. And the more you can step out of that victim mindset and from thinking, oh, everything is happening to me, why, to say, actually, how is this happening for me? What can I learn? And how can I get this done as quickly as possible? You know, I'm not afraid to say, what is this trying to teach me? What's my lesson here? Please try and help me. I want to get through this with as much ease and grace and speed as possible. Please, thank you.
Another impatient one.
Yeah, I am. And I'm all for like digging deep and doing the lesson. But if it gets to be easy and quicker, I'll take that as well. And it does get quicker. The more you practice doing that and using these things, these bad things that happen to you, you do get through them quicker. You do. And I think that a massive part of that is what you said: switching off, going out and walking in nature, because nature is just especially right now, I think the world's in a bit of chaos, turmoil. There's a lot of energetic stuff going on in the world. The best thing you can do, if there's nothing else, is just go outside and stand barefoot on the grass, and that in itself will help you. But then you do that while walking, and then you'll start like really being able to have answers and stuff come through. So, well, this has just been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you, Veronica.
It's so lovely to
loved
chat.
listening to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I do love your podcast dearly. I cannot wait for next episodes, because honestly, I knew Tash before, of course I did, but I think everything is so relatable, and I just, you always blow my mind. Even though you say the things that I know already, you say them the way that makes me question. So yes, I sometimes need to turn off your podcast and just go out, but I will listen to you forever. Thank you. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you, Veronica. Honestly, it does mean the world to us. And I'm sure we can have you back on again. There's loads more stuff that we could talk about. And just thank you for sharing your journey and being so open as well. Because I just, again, like you said, the podcast, we want it to be relatable. We want people to be able to like hear these things and say, oh, okay, that seems like, you know, that's happened to me, so if this person can do it, then so can I. And that's what this is all about, just empowering people to realize that you guys have so much control. And if I can end it on one thing, it would be this. And Veronica said this like right at the start when you were talking about your journey. It's, you have a choice. You always have a choice. You can choose to, you know, be down, let the world get to you, like you said, lay in bed and not get up, or you can choose to say, I'm going to have a smile on my face every single day through it. And that is not the toxic positivity that we were talking about before. That is a mindset. That is a choice. And if you can do that, you will be able to step out of victim mentality, and everything changes for you when you realize that you actually do have a choice. As hopeless as you might feel sometimes, you always have a choice. And I think that's really important. Right. Well then, with that, we're off for another episode.
We are. We're done. Thank you, Veronica.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you guys for listening. You're welcome. Bye.